Hey guys, so today we will be talking about the misconceptions of animal testing. So I'm going to be doing a paid internship over the summer, and I felt like this was a pretty appropriate subject to research since I'll be working in a lab dealing with animals, so I wanted to know exactly what I was getting into. So here we go. Studies published in prestigious medical journals have shown time and time again that animal experimentation wastes lives, both animal and human, and precious resources by trying to infect animals with diseases that they would never normally contract. Fortunately, a wealth of cutting-edge, non-animal research methodologies promises a brighter future for both animal and human health. The following are common statements supporting animal experimentation, followed by the arguments against them. So the first comment that people generally make is every major medical advance is attributable to experiments on animals. So this is simply not true. An article published by the esteemed Journal of the Royal Society of Medicine has even evaluated this very claim and concluded that it was not supported by any evidence. Most experiments on animals are not relevant to human health. They do not contribute meaningfully to medical advantages, and many are undertaken simply not out of curiosity and do not even pretend to hold promise for curing illnesses. The only reason people are under the misconception that these experiments help humans is because the media, experimenters, universities, and lobbying groups exaggerate the potential they have to lead to new cures and the role they've played in past medical advantages. The next comment that people generally make is if they didn't use animals, we'd have to test new drugs on people. The fact is that we already do test new drugs on people. No matter how many tests on animals are undertaken, someone will always be the first human to be tested on. Because animal tests are so unreliable, they make these human trials all the more risky. The National Institute of Health has noted that 95% of all drugs that are shown to be safe and effective in animal tests fail in human trials because they don't work or are dangerous. And of the small percentage of drugs approved for human use, half end up being relabeled because of side effects that were not identified in tests on animals. The next misconception is science has a responsibility to use animals to keep looking for cures for all the horrible diseases that people suffer from. Every year in the U.S., animal experimentation gobbles up billions of dollars, including 40% of all research funding from the National Institute of Health, and nearly $3 trillion is spent on healthcare. While funding for animal experimentation and the number of animals used in experiments continues to increase, the U.S. still ranks 42nd in the world in life expectancy and has a high infant mortality rate compared to other developed countries. A 2014 review paper called the BMJ documented the overwhelming failure of experiments on animals to improve human health. It concluded that if research conducted on animals continues to be unable to reasonably predict what can be expected in humans, the public's continuing endorsement and funding of preclinical animal research seems misplaced. The next misconception is many experiments are not painful to animals and are therefore justified. The only U.S. law that governs the use of animals in laboratories is the Animal Welfare Act, and it allows animals to be burned, shocked, poisoned, isolated, starved, forcibly restrained, addicted to drugs, and brain damaged. No experiment, no matter how painful or trivial, is prohibited, and painkillers are not even required. Even when alternatives to the use of animals are available, U.S. law does not require that they be used, and often they aren't. Because the AWA specifically excludes rats, mice, birds, and cold-blooded animals, more than 95% of the animals used in laboratories are not even covered by the minimal protection provided by federal laws. Because they aren't protected, experimenters don't even have to provide them with pain relief, which is insane. Between 2010 and 2014, nearly 500,000 animals, excluding mice, rats, birds, and cold-blooded animals, were subjected to painful experiments and not provided with pain relief. So that means the numbers for mice, rats, birds, and cold-blooded animals was significantly higher than 500,000. A 2009 survey by researchers at Newcastle University found that mice and rats who underwent painful invasive procedures such as skull surgeries, burn experiments, and spinal surgeries were provided with post-procedural pain relief only about 20% of the time. The last main misconception I found was we don't want to use animals, but we don't have any other options. Experimentation using animals persists not because it's the best science, but because of archaic habits, resistance to change, and a lack of outreach and education. Not a single medical school in the U.S. uses animals to train medical students, and experience with animal dissection or experimentation on live animals isn't required or expected of those applying to medical school. Medical students are trained with a combination of sophisticated human patient simulators, interactive computer programs, safe human-based teaching methods, and clinical experience. Today, one can even become a board-certified surgeon without harming any animals. Some medical professional organizations, like the American Board of Anesthesiologists, even require physicians to complete simulation training, not animal laboratories to become board certified. So as I was looking into this, it definitely made me rethink doing the internship as a whole, because if it's not necessary, then why would I do it? Okay, just a thought. Thank you. Bye.